blood pressure. That's what's pumping when you're taking a test. Okay. So noradrenaline, or norepinephrine, does what? Constricts arterioles. It does the opposite, but it takes a lot longer to work than epinephrine does. You know, if you get excited, it takes a lot longer to calm down. Okay. Up here, what's this stuff? Thyroid cartilage. The C is the cricoid cartilage. And I'll show it to you on the model up front. The little C-shaped rings that are going around the trachea, those are called cricoid. They look just like a C. C for cricoid. So here's the thyroid cartilage. The big old fatty looking things over here are the thyroid glands. Okay, now they secrete what? Thyroxine and calcitonin. What does thyroxine do? Regulates metabolism. What does calcitonin do? It regulates calcium and phosphate. Okay?
But it doesn't decrease.
It raises both your lab nitrogen. It's right on your lecture slides though. Okay, if you put that, because lab nitrogen wrong, put it off. Okay. Yeah, but make sure you're paying attention to what Dr. Noriega has on the slides. It raises calcium and raises phosphate. And that's what's on your lecture slides. Okay. For some reason in your lab notes it lowers phosphate. We still don't know what it does. That's why they're conflicting things. Okay, so pay attention to the glands that I'm pointing out, because you better bet we're going to ask what hormones are coming. Okay? So there's the thyroid gland. Again, what do we call this cartilage? Thyroid cartilage, and the little C-shaped one? Cricoid. What are the function of cricoid cartilages? To keep the trachea open so you can breathe. Okay? And what goes through the trachea? Air. Are we okay with that? Come over here. Excuse me. We got one more piece person. Oh, I forgot something. Hang on. Let's come back here just for a minute. Lumbar vertebra down here at the bottom. So guess what these little horizontal pink and blue guys are called? Lumbar arteries and veins. The only place we can find this right there. Okay, lumbar arteries and veins. On this one, we can be a little bit evil and pull this out. Looks like a wishbone, right? The thing at the top we call common iliac. Okay, and then this would be external iliac. Okay, and then on the inside there, the internal. I wouldn't ask you to do left and right when it's pulled out like this. Okay, but for sure common. You know what it is. It's a wishbone. Again, up here we have thyroid cartilage and your thyroid gland. It's the exact same model as the one. Okay. There are going to be a lot of models out on this one. The cats will be on the first table, just like the first one. Probably not as many, thank goodness. We'll go through cats at the end. Excuse me. But before we hit that, let's look at our models. That was nasty. Okay, what am I holding up here? Kidneys. What's sitting on top of kidneys? Adrenal glands. The medulla secretes epinephrine and norepinephrine. What does the cortex secrete? Mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids. There are others. I told my class mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids will be on there. Okay, what's this thing coming down here? Ureter. What germ layer? Mesoderm. What specific embryological tissue? Intermediate mesoderm. Okay, if we put a pin on this brownish green stuff on the side here, what region are we talking about? Cortex. We put a pin on the blue stuff, we're talking about the medulla. Is that okay? Now these little blue and red dots in here, okay, arcuate arteries and veins, supplying and draining all the bits on the inside of the kidney. If we ask you what's the main supply of the kidney, we're looking for renal, okay? But if we put a pin on any of those little things, we put a little sticker, arcuate arteries and veins. Again, look at what's here. Common iliac, external iliac, whoop, internal iliac. See how many times we can pin this stuff? Okay, there are all kinds of models of the little wishbone thing, so you need to know that one. Where did my kidney go? Am I sitting on it? Ah, thank you. People are moving them around, that's fast. Okay. Again, sitting on top is the adrenal gland. Okay. Now, remember, let's start here. A nephron. That's what's making the urine or urea, right? So we start out with this big thing called the glomerulus. It looks like a weird little bunny. Okay. That's a glomerulus. Okay? And the glomerulus is what's making the urea or urine. Once it's made in the glomerulus, it's going to go into the proximal convoluted tube. It's going to go into the proximal convoluted tube. Then it's going to go through the infamous loop of Henle. That'll be pinned. Loop of Henle into the distal convoluted tube, and finally into a collecting duct. Now all of those collecting ducts meet up at the renal pyramid. That's what you're looking at. It's a bunch of collecting ducts together. Okay? So this is the renal pyramid. Then you have the renal papillae. It's that little bump right after the renal pyramid. So renal pyramid, renal papillae. Okay? Then you go into the minor calyx, which is right here. Minor calyx. And then into the major calyx. Okay, and finally into the renal pelvis and out the ureter. Okay, so one more time. Let's start from the beginning. What's that big old thing? People miss that every year. Just a glomerulus. There aren't proximal and distal convoluted tubes in there. Just a glomerulus. Okay, we're over here. So we're making urea or urine in the glomerulus. Then we go into the proximal convoluted tube. Proximal means closest to. The first one coming off the glomerulus is the proximal convoluted tube. Then we go through the loop of Henle and into the distal convoluted tube. Okay, and finally into a collecting duct. There are all kinds of views of this thing. So if we go over here, okay, you see the little yellow ball? What's that? A glomerulus. Okay, the first tube coming off the glomerulus in yellow is the proximal convoluted tube. Then we go through the loop of Henle. Loop of Henle is in green. Okay, and then we dump into the over here, distal convoluted tube that's in white. The distal convoluted tube dumps into the collecting duct. So from the collecting duct, where do we go? Renal pyramid into the renal papillae. So renal pyramid, renal papillae into the minor calyx, into the major calyx, into the renal pelvis, out the ureter. Okay. On this exam, especially with the vascular system and with the kidney stuff, is it's all tracing. Where's urine going? Where's blood going, right? A lot of things will be pinned, and then we'll ask where's urine going next? Where did it just come from? Same with the blood. So let's go back here for a minute. I think you've got the kidney stuff down. So if we're talking in the arm here, and I put a pin on, what vein is this? Axillary. And I ask you, where is blood going next? Ooh, we're draining. See how crappy that is, huh? We're draining. So if we're in a vein, we're draining. You got to go backwards. So next it's going subclavian. If I put it on the axillary artery, oh heck yeah, you'd be going brachial artery. Okay? So pay attention if we're asking you to go forwards or backwards, and if you're in an artery or vein. Okay? Read the question. You guys will get it if you just read the question. And we'll try to word it a little better this time. I know some of the first questions were a little, okay, we think we write good questions, and then we read them later, and then that happens. Okay, is that okay? Yeah, so pay attention to the question. A lot of you guys will get excited because there's a sticker on it. Just tell us what it is. Read the question. Okay, same thing with the kidneys. If we put a sticker on renal pyramid and ask you, where's the urine going next, what are you going to tell us? Renal papillae. We're in renal papillae, we're going to the minor calyx, and then into the major calyx, and then into the renal pelvis, and then out the ureter. It's not hard, right? Okay. Alright. So remember, all of these things that you're staring at here make up a nephron. So we have a glomerulus, a proximal convoluted tube, a loop of Henle, a distal convoluted tube, and a collecting duct. All make up a nephron. Where the urine's being made and shipped out to the renal pyramids. We okay with that stuff? Shouldn't be too bad. Let's do the reproductive stuff. Now I apologize if you weren't in my class, which might be uncomfortable. Aaron didn't. We make a lot of the guys shy. Girls can get away with anything, so some of the guys have a harder time. Let's start. Oh, here, we'll start with this one. So another thing we can ask you to trace is sperm. We called it Journey of the Sperm in my class. What's the technical term for it? Spermatogenesis, right? So don't put Journey of the Sperm on your final exam. Dr. Noriega might laugh at you. So where does sperm start out? Testes, don't be shy. Starts out in the testes, where does it go next? Epididymis, which is this little structure right here. That'll definitely be pinned. Why is that important? It adds the tail to the sperm. They can't swim until they hit that point. Okay? The epididymis adds the tail to the sperm. Where's it going to go next? Into the ductus deferens. It's the vas deferens on your summary sheet. But Dr. Noriega has a thing about the ductus deferens, right? Okay, so we go from the testes to the epididymis to the ductus deferens. Okay. The ductus deferens, and you see the red and blue things? The ductus deferens and the testicular arteries and veins all make up the spermatic cord. So if we put a big old piece of tape around that and say, what is the structure? We're looking for spermatic cord. If we pin this and ask, what is sperm going through? What are you going to tell me? Ductus deferens, because you shouldn't have sperm going through arteries and veins. That would be scary. Okay? Alright, so we're starting out in the testes. We go to the epididymis and then up into the ductus deferens. We go up into the body wall through this region here. What do we call that? Inguinal canal. Then we pass up and behind the bladder. We're going to go by some vesicles. What do we call those? Seminal vesicles. I can't pin them anywhere. But I can ask you what's adding seminal fluid to the sperm, and you're going to tell us seminal vesicles. Okay. So once your ductus deferens is past your seminal vesicles, you're going to go into the prostate gland. Do girls have a prostate gland? No. Okay. The prostate gland, and then into the, say it with confidence, the ejaculatory duct, and then into the urethra. And, yeah, I have heard it, the evil clown glands, huh? Okay, I asked my class to identify male and female bladders. Okay. Females do not have this little gland on the back. Okay, that's the bulbourethral gland, looks like fat on either side. The bulbourethral gland, and that's going to secrete fluid to make sure that the sperm isn't damaged by any traces of urine, because urine's acidic. Okay, so the bulbourethral glands are going to protect sperm from the acidity of the urine. We alright with that? Some of you look uncomfortable. Don't be uncomfortable. We're good? Okay? Alright, so one more time. I don't want you guys to miss this, because some of you didn't do this in your classes, and it'll be on there. Okay? We start out in the testes. We go up into the epididymis. Then we go up into the ductus deferens. We go through the body wall. What's this region? Inguinal canal. Up and behind the bladder, we pass by the seminal vesicles. Okay? Then we pop into the prostate gland, out the ejaculatory duct, and the bulbourethral glands putting their 2 cents as we're coming out the urethra. We okay with that? Okay, how many rods of erectile tissue do men have?
3.
3. How many do women have? 2. Okay. This layer that's purplish, bluish on the anterior side here, what do we call that? Corpora spongiosum. Females don't have a homologue to this structure. Okay?
Isn't that on the back? Spongiosum?
No, spongiosum's here. It's right here. Spongiosum. It makes sense if you think about corpora cavernosa having 2 rods. It's 2 rods here. Okay, and it's homologous to what structure in females? Corpora cavernosa clitoritis. Okay, so here's spongiosum, and here's corpora cavernosa. So corpora spongiosum, corpora cavernosa. Corpora cavernosa is homologous to what female tissue? Corpora cavernosa clitoritis. That will be on the exam. We love homologies. Okay? But females don't have a homologue to this one. I've seen them ask on your lecture finals, what's the homologous structure to corpora spongiosum? And it should be no answer, right? Okay, so watch that one. What raises and lowers the testes? What muscle? Dartos tunic. Okay, dartos tunic. What gives the scrotum its wrinkly appearance? Cremaster muscle. We can't pin either of those, but we can ask questions. Okay, so again, this tissue at the front is corpora spongiosum. This tissue at the back is corpora cavernosa, and it's homologous to what female tissue? Corpora cavernosa clitoritis. No one's going to miss that. Okay. Now, if we're evil and just ask you, what is the female structure that's homologous to the penis? Now, I said structure, not tissue. What structure is homologous? Yeah, good. Where is it? There's my female model over here. if you see cross sections on your final exam and lecture, women have how many holes?
3.
3. And you can't see all of them, but they have 3 in a cross section. Men have how many? 2. So if you freak out, at least get that much. Okay, it'll help you from there. What's sitting up front here? You see it? This model's kind of small. That's the bladder. Okay, what's the little tube coming out of the bladder? Urethra. What germ layer? Germ layer. Mesoderm. Just germ layer is mesoderm. If I ask for specific embryological tissue, intermediate mesoderm. Okay. What's sitting up above the bladder here? The uterus. Okay. So the easiest way to tell a female model is if there's something sitting above the bladder, it's a girl. That's the uterus. Okay. That's why the poor pregnant women have to pee all the time. The baby's stomping on the bladder. So here's the uterus. Let's look at this one first. There's the uterus. There's a little embryo sitting inside of it, right? What are these things on either side here in pink? Fallopian tubes. What are the weird little Dr. Seuss tree-looking things at the end? Fimbria. They're going to catch what? Ova. Or egg. The egg. Yeah, the egg or the ova coming out of the ovary. Okay. Running parallel to the fallopian tubes, it'll always be parallel, is the broad ligament. Now, I say it always runs parallel because it starts to look funny during development of the baby, right? So here, still we have fallopian tubes, and here's still our broad ligament, okay? All right, now, don't freak out. I love when people tell me that a pregnant woman doesn't have ovaries anymore. We still do, right? Okay? So we still have ovaries. We still have our fallopian tubes. This is still the uterus. What germ layer? Mesoderm. What specific embryological tissue? Intermediate mesoderm. So there's the ovary, little cream colored thing on the inside. We have an ovarian ligament too, connecting the ovaries to the body wall. You don't want them floating around. Okay, so these are fallopian tubes, and running parallel to it is the broad ligament. Okay, the homologous structure to the penis up front here is the clitoris. This is a weird model. Oh, we'll be alright. Okay, it's the clitoris. Okay, the outer external genitalia, the first part we call the labia majora, then we have labia minora. What's the opening of the vagina called? Vaginal vestibular.